So, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of the Conversation Outspoken and Opinionated. You guys all know who are watching live. This is our last segment of our mental health month, and so I have two amazing ladies today who we've been advertising for the last week. I'm so excited for this show today. So, you guys who are watching, I say buckle up. It's going to be a great and amazing show today. Like I said earlier, I have two amazing women who have tend to respect, love. They are special. I have my girl Sandrine Simone. I've met almost 4 years ago. We have the same birthday, so it made it easy for us to like gel. That's what made our conversation so great. I have Dilla Rubrumskin, who is like family. She basically is family. Is someone I've grown to respect. I follow her a lot, just the thing that she do based on Instagram and Facebook. I've seen what she talked about, self-love and love, care, and all these great things that we all need to participate in. I say this because starting the COVID-19, I guess she don't even understand what she did for me, because she started this little thing online where we could like answer questions and stuff like that. Then it turned into a whole different community where we could really speak about issues that we were going through. And that helped me to really, I would say, trickle down the little COVID issues and some of the stuff that I was going through. So again, like I said, today is going to be amazing. So you guys get ready. I have these beautiful ladies. So I'm going to bring them into the live. Again, I said it's Sandrine Simone and Dilla Rubrumskin. I want you guys to come on and welcome.
Hi.
You guys are officially part of the village. This is how we call everybody that come on this. They're called the village. So I said, welcome to the Conversation, Outspoken and Opinionated. Like I said earlier, you can say whatever you want to say. You can say it however you want to say it. I have my drink. I tell my people I have my drink. I see you got your drink. I know. And Jean, probably her lawyers told her she can't bring drink on the show.
So my lawyers tell me keep it cute.
But we're first going to dive in. I'm just going to throw it out there. Sandrine, tell us about you. What's going on? How you been?
I'm going to keep it real short, but shout out to all the Libras. Edwin and I do have the same birthday. So yes, shout out to all the Libras. So if you know me, international speaker, self-love advocate, to be very short about it. Recently, I did my first children's book, Self-Love for Kids. You can get it on Amazon. It's called Auntie Dream. So author to that. But I'm everything with teaching people about self-love, leadership, empowerment. That's me. I'm your girl.
And we have Ms. Dilla Rubrumskin. So tell us who you are and what you do, because I know it's amazing.
All right. Well, hi, everybody. So I am a licensed therapist and a life coach. And I have found my joy in teaching other people how to tap into theirs. I have a number of different programs that I run. I have a blog called Chocolate Chips. And in 2017, I got an award for a top blogger in Africa. So that kind of really set me on a serious trajectory in terms of blogging. I also run a program called Melanin Magic in Liberia, and I'm hoping to launch it here in the US in Atlanta in 2021 summer. But basically, it's a program that helps to pour into young girls the things that perhaps they're not getting in their day-to-day lives from parents, family members, teachers, but basically trying to teach them to appreciate themselves and to advocate for themselves and to take up space in the world as children of God. So that's a Melanin Magic program. And then I also have a number of online programs. Right now, I'm running a series called Unwind with Delarue, and it's basically a space where we get together and we talk about a number of different things. But so last week we were on there talking about the self-discovery journey. We were also talking about, transitions, how to reframe losses so that you can move forward. And this week, this Sunday, we're going to be back on. I will share the information with Evan so that you guys can sign up, but you can find me on IG at Life Coach Delarue and also at Facebook, and you'll find the link to register there. We're going to be talking about money matters. So how and why women need to mind their money, whether they're single, married, or in a long-term relationship. And then we're also going to be talking about sexing and taking agency over your sexuality. And so it's going to be quite exciting. And in December, we're running a series for men for Unwind with Me, and we'll be addressing similar issues that they have brought to the fore that they want to discuss. So I invite you all to just check out my IG, my Facebook. I'm always into something new, trying to bring fresh new ways for you to dissect your experiences.
But since Sanjin was trying to be modest, I'm gonna talk for her. Because Simone is trying to be cool. I didn't know
I was supposed to do my whole bio.
This girl don't travel all around the world. I think the issue she's having right now is because she hasn't had any speaking engagement since the quarantine started, since COVID. You know, I'm just gonna get a little small thing. But listen, guys, you both ladies on this platform are doing amazing things, and I'm so excited to be connected to such powerful Black women. Someone said the other day, we've noticed that since you started your show, you want to bring women on the show. I said, because I gotta let my sister's voice be heard. I think everyone will focus on the things that are going on with men, and we'll forget about there are other people in the background who made it possible for this man to be here. And so I appreciate you guys for everything. But one thing, we're talking about self-love and self-care today. And I always like to start with myself. This platform, what I'm doing right now, is a product of self-love and self-care.
Awesome.
It's a product because it became evident to me that this is something I was supposed to do. When I rediscover myself, and when I say I rediscover myself, now I know, like, I didn't know who I was, but there was a time in my life when I had to take a step back and evaluate myself. And when I evaluated myself, there were things I didn't like about. I hated my voice. I hated the way that I talk with my hands. Like I hated it. So every time I recorded things, when I hear it, I would I can't listen to it. But
I think we've all been through that, though.
And when I realized that when I discovered myself and I appreciated myself, first I had to accept myself, accept my flaws, appreciate it, and love it. And so this is a product of that self-love and self-care. But moving straight into the segment, I will start off with Delarue.
Okay.
How are you doing?
I'm actually doing amazing right now. Just like you know, what you were actually talking about earlier is something we call self-actualization. Self-actualization is part of the human development. You get maybe perhaps into your 30s, 40s, and you start reflecting and kind of like teasing through the things that you were raised with, the things that are around you, and finding out what fits for you. So it's very age appropriate and very healthy for you at this stage in your life to be doing that, and then kind of asserting yourself now the way that you want to. And I, like you, went through a similar process. Mine was just provoked by a divorce, right? And also, yeah, it was. I got.
But that's the same thing. That's what happened to me too.
Oh, really? Okay, so I lost the baby, and that, when you go through trauma, you get so uncomfortable in the trauma, you lose patience for any other kind of stuff that just doesn't feel right, doesn't feel authentic, right? And so for me, my rediscovery started when I lost my son. I was pregnant, went through the entire pregnancy, went into the hospital. I knew there was problems, but I didn't expect to come out empty-handed. I thought it was, we're in America. I'm like, they can fix any and everything here, and so I ended up leaving the hospital with my arms empty. And that just was more discomfort than I could entertain as a human being, and it really set me into a really dark space. And from there now, trying to call myself up, I started examining everything around me, including my marriage, my relationship with friends, my work. And through that teasing process, I started creating something that I now have 2 years later that is freaking amazing. Like, I wake up excited every day. I don't care how gloomy it is outside, right? Thanks, Cedric. But it was a process, and so I'm great. I'm doing great most days. Even on my worst days, I'm still good because I know what to do.
That's amazing.
Sandra, yeah.
So how are you? What you doing, Sandra? How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm just so honored to be on this discussion with you two beautiful people. Like, even that little snippet of that story, I'm like, yes. But I'm doing good. When the quarantine started, y'all, I'm going to tell you, all this self-love and self-care, I'm very well versed in it. But sometimes, listen, it just takes you down. You know, I lost my sister earlier this year and I think I was going downhill, but I'm feeling good. I've recently have self-discovery, gotten a little bit more clear on where I want to be in the future. I'm hopeful. I'm feeling good. Spirits are up. And so I'm doing good. I'm feeling good.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I want to just add something
Go
because
ahead.
I want to give people the impression that self-discovery is something that you do and it stops. It's like an ongoing, lifelong process because as you grow, you're going to refine and you're going to prune and you're going to try new things and you're going to eat. So it's like a rinse and repeat. It's a rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So please, I don't want to give anybody false ideas, but I'm sure I'm going to reinvent myself like about 10 more times before I die, and I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, we are talking about self-love and self-care. I want you guys to give us your definition, your personal definition. And Sandrine, I'll start with you. What is your personal definition when it comes to self-love, self-care?
Okay, so I think self-love and self-care, at least for me, it goes hand in hand. There's two separate things. Some people, you know, however you define it, let that be how you define it. But for me, you know, self-love is the work that you do to heal your soul. You know, it's learning to love yourself when no one sees you or no one hears you, right? And so you know, I know the dictionary has like self-love is like, you know, the well-being of happiness and so forth. But I like to look at like the back end, like self-love is the actionable things that you take to like heal your spiritual, your physical, your psychological. And so self-love for me is like learning to accept my weaknesses as my strengths. Like when you talked about earlier, like, you know, my speaking and all this stuff, like I'm a Caribbean girl, right? And so me too, like I thought, oh, I can't speak or my accent's gonna come out at this point, and you know, but it's learning to, and I looked at it as a weakness, but really it's no, it's my authentic self. You know, I needed to learn how to love that, love me for being that. And at the end of the day, you know, self-love is those three buckets that I said, your physical, you know, filling up your physical, your spiritual, your psychological. But it's knowing that you are enough at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Right. And so with self-care, how I like to think of it, one, I hate the self-care Sundays because I think self-care needs to be a daily thing. so I'm not a fan of self-care Sundays. No, I'm not. Self-care is a daily thing. And how I look at it is, if you look at self-love is the objective, right? And self-care is the task. You need to do the task in order to get to objectives. And so if you have your spiritual bucket, your physical bucket, your psychological bucket, self-care is those tasks to put into those buckets. And so for example, spiritual, I make sure daily that I am on the Bible app, right? Reading, because that's like I connect to God. God is for me, and God, I know God's not for every people are, I don't believe in God, whether it's nature, whether it's whatever, I have to fill that spiritual bucket, right? And then for physical, you know, I make sure I get like a 5-minute walk, a 30-minute workout, because y'all, I've been struggling with the working out. I'm not gonna listen, it's been a tough year. And so, you know, with my emotional and my psychological, you know, I love the Insight app where I can do 2 minutes meditation, literally 2 minutes. So, and if you don't have 2 minutes for yourself daily, you're in big trouble. You need to go through some self-discovery or something. And so self-love is that objective, and self-care is those tasks that you need to like put in those buckets and fill it up. And so that's sort of like my quick definition of self-love and self-care.
But Delora, I will get to you, but someone just commented and said self-love, and where they said self-love and self-care is discovering who God really is and how much his love is what completes you. This love causes you to stand in your truth and accept who you really are and accept the power from God to make changes. Now, Ms. Delarue, I'm gonna come to you. What is your personal definition of self-love / self-care?
All right. So I like to think of it like they're in the same garden, but they're different plants and they serve different purposes, right? So the idea of self-love is more of like a concept. So it's like a big lofty plant, you know. If you know like the elephant ears, like they're huge,
Yeah.
and they have a purpose, and their purpose is to kind of shade the other plants. They don't realize that that's their purpose, but that's their purpose. They shade the smaller plants, right? So self-love is your ability to appreciate yourself and to accept yourself as unconditionally good, right? So it's your ability to look at your accent, is your ability to look at your hand gestures, is your ability to look at all those things that you used to think were not so great and realize that there are thousands of people in the world that think that they're beautiful, right? Because if we speak from a Christian perspective, God doesn't make mistakes.
No.
Hello.
Right? So if we go that way, then you must understand that you're designed as you were meant to be. And if you're not feeling filled up, it's because you're not practicing self-care, which is the act of filling your cup, whether it be biological, psychological, social, emotional, sexual, and spiritual. You have to fill all those cups. And the minute you stop filling up those cups, you're going to see what we call maladaptive behaviors emerging in different areas of your life, right? So when you look at people who are in need of social relationships, like I was just writing an article about this actually. A lot of women, and specifically feel like, especially women that are past 30 or 40, it's like, oh, I really need to marry. I need a man. I need a man. And in reality, what they need is social connection. But they're thinking that that's the only way they can get it, because naturally human beings, we're social creatures. We need connection. And they might need a best friend. They might need a sister friend. They might just need a connection with a person or a brother friend. But because our society limits the way in which you can think of connection, they think, oh, I have to have a man. I have to have a husband. And so they terrorize themselves trying to create these relationships, sometimes with demonic people, when you are not demonic, because you're trying to fill a space. But when what you're really looking for is togetherness, and you can achieve that through a really good friendship. You can achieve that through paying attention to your family relationships, right? So the act of self-care is making those micro decisions minute to minute that support your psychological, emotional, biological, spiritual, and sexual well-being, right? And so the concept of self-love is this idea of accepting oneself as you would your child. Like, you don't look at your child and say, oh, because the child made one mistake, oh my God, you're such a criminal, right? Even if they get arrested, right? Even if your child flunks a whole grade, you'll look at, oh my God, you dog, you're too stupid. You know, you don't do that. You give your child a break. So it's recognizing this inner child and nurturing this inner child in a way that they were never parented. Not because your parents weren't good people or whatever, they just did what they could. But now it's your turn to take over, right? And so self-love is the act of taking over and parenting yourself the way that you want to be parented, so that you can now go on and parent with love the people around you, right?
You guys are just, oh my God. Okay, so like I said, conversation come up when we're having a conversation. So now,
of course, let's do it.
I want to take it to another place, because it's funny. Today I was watching
Evan, 1 second. I just wanted to, that comment, that person who defines self-love for themselves in the comments you read, you know, even though, you know, I'm on here saying what self-love is for me, and Dularu is saying the same thing. Know that what self-love is for you, it is for you, right? Exactly. So it's not that we're saying this is what it is, and that's the big definition. It's what it is for you. So I love your comment, Ebery. If I'm saying your name correctly, that's self-love for you.
Delarus Vandil, do you say you were ministering?
That's so funny. You know what? We laughing, but maybe, you know, who knows what God has planned for me. I'm gonna just hold that. I'm gonna take that in, because you don't know, and I don't want to block my own blessings. If that's the purpose that He has for me, I'm happy to do the work. You know,
I want to move into this thing, because you guys are amazing. You guys are beautiful ladies. you guys have come to the place where you've accepted yourself, basically what you guys have told us. What we
Yeah.
have seen, I was watching an episode, I love to watch interviews. And so I was watching this interview with Charlotte Domain. He interviewed the four ladies
I love him.
who did Girlfriends.
Oh,
And the Ross girl, forgot her name, but Diana Ross' daughter, she said something. They were asking her about the end if they bring Girlfriends back.
Tracy Ellis Ross.
Tracy Ellis Ross,
What would
yeah.
be your character? And you know, and Charlotte May said, "Oh, you know, your character should be married and have kids and all that stuff." And
Girl, please.
she said, "Why my character should be married? Why should that be my goal?" So I want us to talk about that because I think a lot of young ladies, it's like by the time they hit 30, between 35, it's like, oh my God, I need to get married, I need to have kids. And it comes off for me it comes off like, is that all you want? Is that all you aspire in life? Like, I need to get married? Like, is there anything else that you want to do? So how can we really change the narrative?
Okay.
You know what? Because I know Delarue's gonna come in here and preach us out.
No, I'm not going to try.
No.
That's not my intention.
I love it. I love it. And so I love Tracy Ellis Ross because she is actually one of those women in Hollywood that sort of say it's okay to love yourself and love who you are, and it's okay that you're not married, and it's okay that you don't have kids at a certain age and all this stuff. And I follow her journey and I love her so much because it reminds me of myself. You know, a lot of people say like, why aren't you married yet? You have a good job, like you're a pretty girl, what's wrong with you? And then they start making you feel like, is there something wrong with me? And I had to like get to the realization like, fuck it, nothing's wrong with me. Something's wrong with you for thinking that something's wrong with me because I'm not married or I don't have children, right? And so, excuse my language, you said we can go here, Edwin, with the conversation. No, but you know, I hate that society and the images have put so much pressure on our young women that something must be wrong with you, or you don't love yourself, or you know, if you're not married or have children. And I'm the complete opposite. And yes, I hope to be married or have children one day, but it's not my goal. It's not what I see as a success. I see it as an addition to the beautiful thing that I have going on here. You know, I'm enjoying exploring myself and who I am. So when someone do come into my life, they're not coming in to fill anything. They're coming in to just be an addition, you know? And so I love the fact that Tracy had that response like, yeah, why does she need to be married? You know?
It was really deep. I think that was, by the way, Dilaru, you can go ahead.
So I think it's important for us to understand the concept of marriage. Like you have to understand the function of marriage, why it exists before, why it existed the way it did before, and how it's carrying over and where we are now in the evolution of human beings, right? In the 60s and the 70s, it was essential for women to get married because women did not have the opportunity to go out there and work and provide for themselves as we do today.
Yeah.
That was the main reason why a lot of those marriages survived. It wasn't because the women were so thrilled to be in it. It was because they didn't have options. I mean, that's just the long and short of it. So with women coming into the workforce and women being able to provide at this point, in some communities of color, women are able to provide way better than their male counterparts, right? With women stepping into this space and being able to do for themselves and do for their families and become the breadwinners in their families, the need for marriage no longer really exists in that sense. The need, the day-to-day bread and butter need no longer exists, right? And so this is the reason why women like Tracy Ellis Ross are able to say, why does she have to get married? You know, if marriage is not something you want to do, the need for it no longer exists. Today, women can get up and have careers and go and start businesses and do amazing things in the world. They don't need to get married. Marriage should be a choice. One of my very good older friends said to me, look at your marital situation or boyfriend or relationship like a fur coat. You don't have to have a fur coat, but if you have it, it's nice. Right?
That's good.
It gives you an extra layer of warmth, maybe more so than a parka. But a parka is still a coat, and you're not going to die from freeze burn, if you don't have a fur. But if you have a fur, it's nice, it's cozy, right? And so when she said that to me, I was like, that resonates really strongly with me, because I don't need to have a husband. And I will tell you, like, having been married, I don't know if I want to remarry. I'm especially when you look at the requirements of a Christian marriage, right? If I'm going to go stand in front of the pastor and say I do, in doing so, there is a lot of responsibilities that are placed on women, Christian women who choose to marry. And a lot of women, including myself, we got married and we didn't read the requirements. When you got inside, you saw the nitty gritty, you like, Jesus, holy fire, I don't know how I can make it. It's a lot. It's a lot that's placed on women. And so having gone through it, having examined it inside, I was married for 14 years. I don't know if I can do that again. It's a lot of work. Like, I'm out here working, doing my thing. I don't know if I want to come home and be responsible for another human being in the way in which it's required culturally. From the Liberian perspective, we have a whole another layer of requirement on top of the Christian stuff, in terms of caregiving. And, I, like Tracy Ellis Ross, like, well, is there any other way for me to partner? Like, do I have to do all of that? And I do. I can choose to do this however I want to. I'm grown.
Excuse me. Okay, so just grown. Y'all heard that. Okay, so I like the trajectory that we're taking right now, but there's something funny, because a lot of times when you're in a relationship, or for those who for us who've been married, or those in a relationship, when you start to care for yourself and you start to do all these things, you are counted as selfish. So now there's become this stigma related to self-love and self-care as selfish. So I think there are men, there are women out there who are trying to actually achieve this, but they can't, because they're afraid that their partner or their friends or whoever is it that they're in that relationship with will consider them to be selfish. So how can we tackle that? Like, you guys have gone through this journey. Like, how were you able to achieve this even though there were people saying selfish?
I mean, when I look at selfish as protection. I'm protecting my time, my peace. And so, no, it's not selfish. And so there are people who sort of do the actionable things, right, for the self-love and the self-care. And it's like, overly, like, it goes into like narcissism type of, like, I'm only doing this for outward, right? And then so that's like a whole nother ball game there. But when you're talking about being selfish, to take time for yourself, to figure out what are those patterns that you need to change from within to be a better person, to love yourself, protecting that space and that time, that's not selfish, that's protection. So if you want to call my selfish, like, oh, whatever, do what you need to do, but I see selfish as protection, and I need to be selfish and protect my time in order to do what I need to do for myself, so I can show up in the world every day as a better human, as a better person, as my authentic, loving self.
I love you.
All right. So for those people who are just starting to, like, consider the journey or tiptoe into the journey, I want to give you a couple of things. First, understand that self-care and self-love is about self-preservation. Mm-hmm. This is not about you being selfish. It's about you being self-full. And there's a huge distinction. I'm taking care of me so that I can better take care of you. In addition to that, Eleanor Roosevelt said a quote that I love. She said, "Those that matter don't mind, and those that mind don't matter." And I think we really need to take hold of that, because as you go through your journey, you're going to need to explain to the people who matter to you what you're doing. Not in detail, but to explain to your children that mom or dad needs this time to themselves because I need to replenish. I'm exhausted. And in doing that, you're teaching your child how to take care of themselves, right? So if you're setting, like I do this a lot, I set my daughter up with arts and crafts, a couple of snacks. I'm like, you know what, mom needs the afternoon off. So entertain yourself. She's 10. She's very capable of getting her own snack, doing her arts and crafts. And it gives me like a minute to just take a nap or to read a book or to have my tea and just kind of re-steady myself, right? Because the world is not always an easy place to digest, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other piece of it is when you make up your mind that you're tired wearing everyone else's definition of you, the starting point is to decide that you're going to take this journey regardless of who applauds you or who does not. It's not about them. And understand, as with all changes, it's going to make the people around you uncomfortable.
Yes.
And every time they express their discomfort and, oh, Cedrine, you're not changed, or Edwin, you different, just think to yourself, those that matter don't mind, and those that mind don't matter. If they're going to fall off, they're going to fall off. But guess what? For every one person that falls off your friend list, even your family list, you're going to get 2 amazing human beings to fill that damn space.
Hello.
I'm not kidding you. Like, my friend circle right now looks so different than it did when I started my journey. And I'm not mad. It just is not better or worse. It's just different. It suits where I am right now. And this is because the universe will rise to support you in the decisions that you make. If you make a decision that says, I'm a doormat, I'm a victim, I have no value, it will rise and support that. If you make a decision that says, you know what? I'm a child of God. I'm an apple of his eye. I am worthy. I matter just because I'm here. Do you know how many kids, they try to conceive and couldn't make it? I'm here. Not only am I here, I made it these many years. I matter because of that. The universe will rise to support that. So know these things and just every day get up and make those micro decisions that support your well-being. Before you know it, you'll be floating around a whole bunch of people with light. Just light, 360 degrees of light. And that's your goal, you know? So
I love the fact how, you were talking about, like, people going to be falling off because, listen, I just couldn't believe, like, some of the friendships. I never thought, and I hate that, like, not being someone's friend type thing. But it's the reality of when you really take the time for yourself, people are going to use you acting different. Why are you different, doing all this? And you have to stand strong in your truth and says, I'm doing what's best for me. And if that doesn't fit into your world or your agenda or whatever, then you have to do what's best for you. And now we're both doing what's best for us. And we're going to show up as 2 good people in the world. And so I always, like, when stuff starts happening, because it's like, oh, you different. Why you never used to do that before? I just say, you know what? I'm going to bless it. I'm going to wish it well, and I'm going to let it go. I don't have time to fight with it anymore because I need to do what's best for me so I can show up and be a better person. I'm doing the work. Okay.
I'm not even going front. Like, I literally showed up on Facebook and I put a post up and said, I am a different person than I used to be.
Hello.
I did. So don't expect me to respond the way I used to. Right? And if my happiness makes you uncomfortable, unfriend me. I won't take it personal.
Girl, yes.
Hello. And you guys are saying this.
I
recall when I decided to go through this journey. Now, I remember having a conversation with my mom, and she said, so I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, because my mom went through this. Okay. And she said, let me tell you what's going to happen. She said, you are going to lose so much friends. You will not even believe it. And I said, Mommy, what do you mean? They are my friends. I've been knowing them. She said, oh, no. I said, she said, they are used to that DJ. She said, this new Edwin that's coming up, they're not going to be able to handle it. And she said, one thing you are going to also learn how to do is to say no.
Oh, that's a big one.
I didn't know how to say no. I was at every baby shower, every wedding, every event I was in, everybody's wedding, spending my own money, going to every party, picking everybody. Like, I was the person. I was the.
It must be a Libra thing.
But for
No, it's not. It's a,
because I felt that I was reliable. My friends are calling me because I was reliable. But when I was going through my stuff and I had to leave all those things and deal with myself and love on myself, there was nobody. I was like, where all those people at? I ain't get invited to no cookout. I don't get invited to nothing. When I say nothing, nothing. It's like literally they cut you off because you have become different. And that different is because you are really not becoming your authentic self. This is me. These are the things that I like to do. This is what I want to be. No, I rather stay home and meditate or read a book or watch a movie or do something else than go hang out with you and just talk nonsense that is not going to benefit me.
Yeah.
So I think I really believe that that season really incorporates you losing a lot of family members. It's weird because the group that I have right now are people that I've been knowing since I was in second grade. And these are my authentic friends. They have
Yeah.
that's what it is.
but I think Edwin, we need to normalize for people that not all relationships are meant to be permanent.
True.
Yeah.
And I think if we go into friendships and dating situations with that understanding, it takes a lot of the pressure off, right? Not every relationship is supposed to be permanent. Some of them are meant to just be there for a time and they serve their purpose. Exactly. Some relationships are seasonal. They serve their purpose and then it's time to let them go. And you understand that as you're letting them go, you're making space for new things, right? And I think when we teach younger people, we teach other people that it's okay to let go. You know, it just takes on a whole new feeling. For me, like the idea that someone wants to leave my life, it excites me because I'm like, oh, I wonder who's coming in to fill the space. And then I start thinking about the possibilities of who's coming in to fill the space.
Yeah.
It's exciting, right? Because that's how I see it. Because what I do know is that as I get older, I get better, right? I get more interesting, more dynamic, and sexier, and more exciting. And being like that attracts a similar person.
Yeah.
So my relationships just have to become elevated. Even business-wise, the people I do business with today are very different from the people I used to do business with, right? And then also, I think as you self-actualize, as you become more of your own self, you attract people who are more compatible with who you really are, people who can actually make you more happy because they're seeing the raw, real you, right? Not the you were raised and told you're supposed to be.
Absolutely.
Right? And then the last piece of that is there's no one group of people that's supposed to be your friends forever. There's no one person that's supposed to be your soulmate. You're meant to have many soulmates in your life. Yeah, I really believe that.
Somebody said you spoke to their soul.
I like that. But you're supposed to have many soulful experiences in your life. You know what I mean? So get excited about the changes. Every time you make space, like Steve Harvey used to say it in one of his stories, he talks about how he wanted a new car, but he had 2 old cars parked in the garage. And his father or his uncle kept telling him, he said, Steve, until you move that old car, no new car going to be here because there's no space to park it, right? And he said that the week he moved that old car, even though he didn't have money to buy a new car, someone gave him a damn car.
Now that's the universe speaking to you right there.
Yeah, make space in your life for the things that you want. Like, don't be afraid to let go. You came into this world by yourself. You will go by yourself. Everything in between, it's just an experience. Like, let go. The job, the man, the woman, the friend, even your mammy, like, let them go. Like, you can love people. Like, I'm a Christian, so like understanding these from a biblical standpoint, it resonates for me. But you know, the Bible says, love your neighbors as you love yourself. I would tell people, there's certain parts of me I don't love. Like, I don't love my thighs, right? But I love my face. I love my hands, you know, and so we love different parts of me at different distances, right? I have relatives that I don't love up close because they don't feed my spirit, you know? Yeah. And that's just a fact. Not everybody you related to is going to build you up. Some of them take pleasure in tearing you down. True. And I grew up with that. And once I got to be an adult, I was like, okay, you in there, over there. Yeah, you get to know up close. over there, mom. That's where you belong, right?
Yeah.
And then I have friends that some of them are here, some of them are here, and some of them are there. I wish no one any malice, but as a CEO of Me Inc., I decide where you're positioned, right?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
like
and you like your position, you're free to quit.
Yeah, but I like what you said because I want us to really talk about yes, we are talking about self-love, we are talking about self-care and all that stuff, but there are things in our lives that is hard for us to let go of.
Oh, yes.
There are things that I will tell you, I was part of a group, or part of an organization that for basically my entire life. But when I started this journey of finding myself and rediscovering myself, I had to let go. That was the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life.
Mm.
All these people I've been hanging around them, I hang up like, how am I going to leave these people? Who am I going to call when I need this? Like, it was hard. But I really want us to go into that place where you get to that place in your life where you become whole.
Mm.
It's like you are okay being by yourself because you are whole. Let's talk about Sandrine. Let's talk
It's
about that.
like an emotional orgasm. I hear you. Go ahead, Sandrine.
No. Emotional orgasm. Listen, I'm learning from you tonight. You hear me?
Yes, honey. It is an
Let's
emotional
talk about this
orgasm.
wholeness. This wholeness.
Let me tell you something. It's a scary journey, right? If you think about it, if you think about any great leader, because we're all leaders in our own lives, right? If you can't lead yourself, don't try to lead anybody else. For real. Save us all the trouble.
Yeah.
Master yourself first, right? Every great leader at some point has to leave the crowd and go upstairs.
Absolutely.
Right? Our great Jesus, he left the disciples, he went up to pray. There's certain places that you just can't carry everybody with you. They don't belong there. It's not their vision. It's not their journey. It's not for them to understand. So we can't resent the fact that they don't understand. We just have to kind of accept that it's not theirs, right?
Yeah.
And let me tell you the freedom in doing that. When you can accept that people can't go everywhere with you, you release yourself from going everywhere with them.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it frees you up. Like when you can accept that fact, when you can tell someone no, and without malice, when they tell you no, you're not gonna feel bad either. You're gonna be like, oh well, you know what I mean? But once you get on the other side, so it's kind of like life pulls the training wheels away from you. All those people that you were growing up with, they were pillars, your best friend, your favorite cousin, your mom, your pop. At some point, life dissolves those relationships because it wants you to understand that you alone are enough.
Mm.
Yeah.
You can stand on your own 2 feet, make decisions based on what's in your heart and based on your own instinct, and survive. You've been doing it for years. You just didn't pay attention. You don't need those people. They are fur coats.
Oops. Sandrine, go ahead, talk, because you know Delaru gonna preach.
Listen, I'm listening. No, but going back to your question, Edwin, and talking about being whole and being able to be by yourself. For my birthday that just passed, you know, we were in quarantine, and I took myself to Miami. It's actually my home, but it's this fancy hotel that no one has ever, like a lot of people growing up, they say, oh, that's really expensive, and you know, all this stuff. And I actually book a day there, spa, beach, everything, right? And so I had someone like text me to be like, hey, happy birthday, what you doing, who you with, and I said, oh, I'm here at this place by myself, I'm enjoying the day. And they said, whoa, you're by yourself? And I said, yeah, I am. And they were like, you must have to really love yourself in order to be by yourself. And that was like, I guess I really do love myself to be by myself, but it still shocks people that being by yourself, even for your birthday or for whatever, is like this thing, like you need people and, you know, bringing people that you don't even get along with just to have space filled up. And so being whole is you get to a place where you're okay by yourself. You really are. And anybody that you want to invite in is because you truly want to invite them in your space, right? And so that's when you know that you're in a space of wholeness. It's like I'm operating and I'm inviting in because I want to do it. And it's not when you talked about it when, we were people pleasers or we can't say no. So we were constantly being around people because we wanted to please them or we couldn't say no, but knowing I really didn't want to go to the club or I really didn't want to be here. And I'm having a hard time being here. My energy and everything is feeling so depleted by the time I get home because I'm somewhere where I didn't want to be. And so when you get to a space of wholeness, you get to an understanding of knowing it's okay. I can be by myself. I can travel by myself and be okay, and I don't need to invite people in that's not wanted.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So Asatu Shannon said those people are fur coats. Just so you know.
That's my homegirl.
Yes,
I
that's my
remember,
homegirl too, Asatu. Vandale said that he really liked the ladies on the show and he's in his house screaming. So it is crazy out here. But somebody said, Florence Johnson said, finding yourself don't mean you have to let go of those that love you.
No. So let's just be clear about that. This is not a matter of you letting go of the people who love and care for you, but rather a repositioning of people so that you feel supported, you feel celebrated, you are getting what you need. So if the person that you love loves you with reciprocity, if they support you, if they love, honor, and cherish you, keep them there.
Yeah.
What we're speaking to is we're looking at those people who cut you down, those people who don't support, exactly, toxic people who don't support the decisions that you're making to be a better person. Like, for example, we got a lot of haters out here, like, sister on a weight loss journey and stuff, and they'll be trying to give you hamburgers after I told you I'm on a weight loss journey, right? That's some hate. Whereas I have a girlfriend who will say, okay, you know what, D, let's go to dinner and let's go to tapas because at least it will give you a variety of things to choose from. You can have what you need. That's the kind of friend that we're looking for. You know what I mean? But people who support you on your journey towards goodness, right? For me, and for each person is different. So there's no two journeys that's gonna look the same because we all want different things, I have friends who take pleasure in running home to go cook for the husband and all that crazy. That's not me. You see what I'm saying? But I'm not mad at her. It's just not my thing. I feel somebody needs to run home and cook for me.
And
we're not. We both out here working. But that's just me. Everybody's different. And that's the point I'm trying to make, right? So I don't want anybody to please. You're right. This is not about cutting people off for no reason. It's about you reflecting on your life, seeing what feels good. You keep that. It's the same thing even with your morals and your values that you grew up with. Some of it good, some of it is not good. Take out what's good, hold on to it. What is not good, replace it with what feels right for you. This is completely a self-defining process.
And I want to talk about this part of discovering myself. This is something that I did. I am currently, and I've started and I still do it, I protect my energy.
Absolutely.
I protect the energy that I get into. I protect it. And this is something that I do. All my friends laugh at me. If I go on social media and I scroll on your social media page, and then I think, oh my God, De La Rue, she's having a great time. Why can't I have that great time? I unfollow you. Because I got to protect my energy. It has nothing to do with you. It's me. And in order for me to protect my energy, I'm there sitting there being envious of you and what you're doing for no reason. So for me to protect myself and for me to get into that space where I'm looking at people's social media and wondering how they're traveling and got this car and that car, I just unfollow them. If I go to somebody's house and the energy is off, I find an excuse to leave. That I've learned to protect my energy. My son laughs at it all the time because we go somewhere and I'll be like, we ain't going there. He's like, let's go home. Because that energy for me is not working. If you're having an event and then I find out there are certain people I know that I don't want to be around there or there, I'm not going. Because I need to protect my space. Because in that your house or in where you're having it, I'm not going to be able to protect myself because that's your space. So for me to protect my energy, I leave. Somebody said I'm team too much. I said that's the only way I know how to protect myself.
So I will say that, you know, part of what you're I feel like you're halfway there, but there's some skill building that needs to come on the back end of that, right? So one of the things I want to leave with everybody is this idea: self-care and self-love are things that you can practice. They're skills that you can build. It's not something you're necessarily born knowing how to do, and you may not have been raised to know how to do it, but anybody can learn it, right?
And it's ever growing, and it's ever growing.
It's ever growing. It's never even enough because, you know, we are insatiable characters, and more we love on ourselves and more we want it, right?
Yep.
So I definitely agree with Cedrina on that. But I think that the idea of protecting your energy is very important. But when it gets to a space where you're scrolling on the internet and you are feeling uncomfortable looking at other people's pictures, I want you to go a step further. Unfollowing them temporarily is fine, but then you have to ask yourself some questions. What is it that I'm seeing that's making me uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I uncomfortable? Am I uncomfortable because I'm not happy for that person? Chances are that's not the reason, right? You may be uncomfortable because you want to do the same thing. So if you want to do the same thing, for me, then the solution is, okay, how do I plan? Because then that means you're being inspired by the person, which is a good thing. How do I plan so that I can have the same thing? But if you find yourself in a position where you're kind of like annoyed that someone's progressing and you're not, I will reel you back in to say, well, why? You know, is it because that you believe that it's not available to you?
Yeah.
Because once you believe it's available to you, now it's just a matter of planning and executing, right? You can be on a beach in Belize. I mean, what is it? A plane ticket, right? In a hotel room, right? But so you can pivot from that space where you're looking at something, and everybody goes through this, you know. I just got off the phone with a client who was telling me, you know, this is an Ivy League you know, professional person and doing extremely well, but still feeling not accomplished enough because social media, she's taking it personal.
Yep.
And I had to remind her that what you're looking at it's not real. It's like an airbrushed, you know, fancied up reflection of life. Like even my old pictures on social media got a little filter on them most of the time, you know, like come on now. And so what do you think Beyonce and doing to theirs? You know, they have an entire team working on their stuff. So you're comparing yourself to something that's not real. That's
not real. Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of times I encourage my clients, when you have these kind of negative thoughts, look for evidence to support your thought. Is there any evidence to support my thought? Like I'm looking at you in Belize and I'm mad. What is the reason that I'm not said you can't be in Belize? Come on, my ticket. Really. Hotels.com. How much is a hotel room? Right? And so it's like there's no need for me to be upset. I'm just gonna be like, oh, EJ went, okay, next. Belize on the top of my list, right? I want to go. And it's available to me. So there's no need for me to feel like that. If I continue to feel like that, then it's a matter of self-worth. I don't believe that I'm entitled to go to that place. Then we need to do some work. You need to call me.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Call her. Call her. And when call her, she said, you need to call me.
I don't want to call her. But
no, I totally agree.
No, but I think it's true, and I think a lot of us don't protect our energy. And I know I would like I'm on the extreme, and I know that's me. I am team too much. I'm always on the extreme. But I think just for little things, I was give this example. My son, he loves to play video games, and you know now they got these video games where they're like in different countries, and it be on the thing and all that kind of stuff. And so he was playing this game. And he was in his room, and in a couple of minutes, I went in the room, and then I saw him like in tears. I'm like, why are you crying? He said, my friend on the game, my best friend on the game, asked me to do something, and I didn't do it. And so because I didn't do it, he unfriended me. And I give him a high five. In his tears, he's like, Daddy, why are you giving him a high five? I said, because you stood to your ground. I said, maybe you don't want to tell me what it is that he wanted you to do. I said, but the fact that you protected yourself from that, and your friend didn't see you as authentic enough to accept to say, okay, Matthias don't want to do that, but I can still be his friend, then that's not a good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us in our life, we're still pleasing people. That is why we're not able to reach that wholeness or that authentic who we are, because we're still trying to please mom, dad, brother, sister, and all that stuff. So I know we're still here, but I just want us to talk. I don't know if we can just have a conversation. How can we create boundaries?
And so first, I'm that whole protecting your peace thing is I look at it in a different way, Edwin. Protecting peace for me, and I totally agree that if you're scrolling through Instagram and you see something you don't like, it is not about deleting. It's about some deep work.
And you went to Paris. I'm like, I ain't gonna see all of that. I'm blacker.
You know what? You're wrong for that. No, but listen, one is actually believe in yourself that you could achieve all this stuff, Edwin, honestly, but it's really some deep work that needs to be done. So when you see that stuff, like I scroll through Beyonce and everybody's stuff, and I'm like, yes, I can't wait till I get, I'm actually happy and have joy and have released all of the jealousy stuff. And that took growth, but with the boundaries and stuff is actually part of my self-love sort of check. I do like a checklist, right? To see like where my thermometer is, right? And so like the first thing is like my mindfulness. How am I, like, what are the things that I'm saying to myself about myself, right? How am I actually feeling about myself? And when's the last time I actually looked at myself and say like, Sandrine, I love you, girl. I love you. Like, and really mean that shit, right? And so in that, the needs and the wants, like making sure that I'm not doing things. The wants are like the quick fixes of the things that I'm doing, like, doing something to get high. Like we all know when you get high, it only lasts for a certain time, right? It doesn't last for a long time. And so you feel good and then it kind of goes away. Me, I'm like, I'm focusing on what are the actual things that I need to stay consistent with my self-love. And then you get to boundaries, like you just said, right? Checking my boundaries, checking like those people around me. Like, am I creating my boundaries? I will tell you this. I had a friend one time. So as you said, I travel a lot and I've been traveling, and I came home and I just wanted to have this weekend to myself. I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to go to brunch or do anything. And I was talking to my girlfriend, like, yeah, girl, I'm back in DC. And she said, well, I'm going to be there, so open the door. And I said, actually, no, I just want to be by myself. She was like, oh, you better open the door when I show up. And it really dawned on me, like, hold up, this chick has no respect for my boundaries. I'm telling you, I want to be alone. I don't want any visitors this weekend. I just need some time to myself. And so it's really like being stern on those boundaries. And when someone's trying to push, like the boundaries is like your door, right? And they're trying to push their way in, and you're like, no, I said no. I don't want you here. I don't want you to do this. And so the last thing is it is that protecting your peace. And how I look at that is releasing all of the toxic people, things that I do, behaviors. And so that's how I look at protecting peace. It's a little different from you. But again, this conversation is all about to maybe get some ideas on how to do things if you are looking for change, but it doesn't take away from how people see self-love or self-care or protecting your peace or your boundaries or whatever the situation may be. So do a self-love check, and I do check the boundaries, the protecting my peace, my mind. How am I, thinking about myself and like my needs, and making sure I'm not doing once, just getting high for a quick second and not, And when I say high, I'm not talking about drugs, people. FYI, I'm just things that get you in that state.
Well, Minister Delarue, it's your turn.
Oh, I don't like. Okay, I'm not.
Ordained by the conversation.
All right, so boundaries. So here's the thing, right? Boundaries emerge as part of the journey. If you take a self-discovery journey and you start examining your value system,